this is the workbook I was telling you about. It contains the financial statements data of the companies which are listed on Tadawaul. Tadawaul is the stock exchange here in Saudi Arabia. So I downloaded the data, financial statements data of all the companies using a macro. If I press Control down, you can see the number of sheets here, a lot of sheets here. The data is in a consistent format. If I go back, if I want to check the number of worksheets in this workbook, I can go back to the Visual Basic Editor. I can open the Visual Basic Editor using Alt F11. I can go to the immediate window. I can type a small code here. Worksheets dot count. So here there are 382 worksheets. So 382 worksheets mean, because actually each company has two sheets. One contains the quarterly information and the other contains the annual information. So 382 divided by 2, around 190 companies whose data I have downloaded using this macro. Let me show you the macro which I wrote to download all this data, and exactly how I figured out how I can write this macro. Then I'll show you this dashboard which I used to pull the data from these 382 worksheets. If I go to the Visual Basic Editor again, and minimize this Microsoft Excel objects, I go to module 4. So this is the macro which I wrote. So what this macro does is that it creates separate sheets for each. You see, for each item in active workbook, worksheet names. It creates for each entity. It creates a worksheet. It goes to the related website of that company and downloads the data. So exactly how I figured out to write this macro, I'll just show you. I'm subscribed to this website. It's called gulfbase.com. If I go here, Gulf Base Company Profile Sample, Saudi Stock Exchange, Tadawaul. So these are the different indices in Tadawaul. If I click here, cement for example, it will open all the companies related to the cement sector. So if I, for example, I go to one company, let's go to methanol chemical. So I'll have this web sheet here. If I go to the yearly financial data here now, so I'll get the yearly financial data of this company in the current price. It has the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow data, summarized data, and the yearly financial ratios, per share data here. So this is how this macro works. So it takes all of these URLs one by one, creates a separate sheet for all the entities. It goes to the related URL, copies the data, and returns the data. Here you can see, for example, this company Petrochem. It got all the data: income statement, balance sheet, the ratios, the cash flows. Similarly for all the entities here. So after downloading all this data from the website using the macro, the second task for me was to create a dashboard where I can pull the data at my will, according to my demands. So what I did was I created this dashboard. Here I created a list box here using ActiveX control. Here I listed all the indices in the Tadawaul exchange. You see the petrochemical, the cement industry, retail, energy. I created a second list box here which contains all the companies that relate to the chosen industry. So for example, if I choose here the related industry, any industry, all the companies of that industry would come in the second list box. For example, I'll show you, just exit the design mode. If I press petrochemical, I get all the companies of the petrochemical industry here. If I go to cement, I get all the cement industries, retail, energy. You see the second list box automatically updates. So then I listed all the items which I needed here: return on equity, price to book ratio, net profit margin, borrowing, book value, close price. A few items which I required. I can add as many items as I like. Then I created a macro so that it can automatically go to that website, to the company which I select, and pull the data, return on equity data, price to book ratio, and populate the cells here. I'll show you the code I wrote to pull the data from all these sheets. So if I go here, go back here, I'll go to module 5. So here's the macro which I wrote to pull the data. So what this macro does, it looks at the two macros here. One gets the quarterly data for you, and the other gets the annual data. So what this macro does is that it identifies this company. It goes to the company symbol here. It checks. It goes to the related worksheet and pulls the data here. So I get the quarter 2 data, quarter 1, quarter 4, each populated in the right cell. So I can carry out a time series analysis using this data. So I have the quarterly data, annual data. For the few items I've requested, I can add as many items as I like, provided they're available in the respective company's data. More importantly, a more important analysis for me for personal investments, more important than the time series analysis, is the cross-section analysis. That is how the company performs compared to its peers in the industry. So I created a small table here. You see here, here you can compare all the companies in an industry here. So whatever industry I select, for example, let's select the petrochemical industry. So I select the petrochemical industry. Now press this button, get comparisons for the industry. So this table is automatically populated with all the companies in that industry. Here, Camanol, Petrochem, Sabic, Safco. I have listed a few measures here: 3, return on equity, net profit margin, price to book value ratio. Now I want to sort it. So I want to see which company has the highest return on equity, or which company has the highest net profit margin. So I created a small list box here to sort this table. For example, now I want to sort this by the price to book value ratio. So I'll press this, sort by the third KPI. So now I get the list of the companies in the petrochemical industry sorted according to the price to book value ratio. So here you can see Safco has the highest price to book value ratio, 8.38, and its return on equity is also the highest, which explains why its price to book value ratio is high. Now if I select the cement industry, for example, I press this button again, get comparisons for the industry. Now I have the data for the cement industry. So now I can sort this data again, sort by, let's say, first KPI. So I have the data sorted by the return on equity here. I can sort it by the net profit margin. I can sort it by the third KPI. So you can see the strength of this. So using this, you can identify companies which you feel that may be undervalued here. Probably they are offering a good return on equity, but their price to book value ratio is low. For example, I personally identified this company, eEco. If you see, its return on equity is better. It's not very good, but it is earning a decent return on equity, and its price to book value ratio is low compared to, for example, say Najran Cement, 9.45. So using this table, you can identify probably you can identify companies which are undervalued. You can select it and then can research those entities. For example, now for me, this company eEco, I can go to this company's account and research it further. Probably it might be undervalued and might be a good stock for investment. So I can go here to that company, Eastern Province. I can dig further into the financial statements and into this company and determine if this is a suitable investment.